Cancer, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. This is where we're going to dig in weekly to the astrology for Cancers based on your sun sign. I am going to discuss all of the major planetary aspects and transits in relationship to your natal sun. So if your natal sun is between 0 and 10 degrees Cancer, I'm going to refer to you as Cancer 1s. If your natal sun is between 10 and 20 degrees Cancer, I'm going to refer to you guys as Cancer 2s. And if your natal sun is between 20 to 30 degrees Cancer, I'm going to refer to you guys as Cancer 3s. These are called the 3 decants, or groups of 10, of Cancer. And it all has to do with which degree your natal sun sits on. Now, the way that you'll know this is you can check your natal chart. If you don't have your natal chart handy, those Cancerians who are born in June, you are definitely Cancer 1s. Those Cancerians that are born sometime between July 2nd to July 11th, you are definitely Cancer 2s. And those of you who are born between the 11th and the 21st, or say the 12th and the 22nd, depending on what year, this is where it gets a little shady, you are Cancer 3s. So it is kind of important for accuracy to know and check your natal chart, but that's in and around the dates. Now, this forecast is going to cover between the dates, the current dates of March 10th through the 17th of 2023. And Cancerians, we just came out of a full moon in Virgo. And full moon in Virgos, it's not a coincidence that spring cleaning happens around the full moon in Virgo, because it really is about clearing out all of the clutter and detoxing from all of the stuff that is getting in your way of living the healthiest life and the most productive life and the simplest life that you can. Because Virgo is all about cultivating and maintaining the physical self, the physical world, the finances, those things that we need to live here in the physical world. How are we maintaining them? And to clear out the clutter and all the toxicity and all the garbage that you don't need. So we've just come out of a big purge from the Virgo full moon. And our moon is doing something extremely interesting at the end of this week, which will affect a specific group of you in a very intimate way, and we will get into what that is. Okay, so Cancer 1s, your natal sun is going to be sextile. This is really interesting. It's sextile the north node and trine the south node. That means there's peace with the past and opportunity in the future. But it's not just the past and the future, it's the past and future version of yourself. Where you've come from, what you're good at, what's easy for you, what's interesting to you naturally, like all those things that come to you naturally. You're in such harmony with those things. You can trust them. You could almost do them blindfolded. There's no question of them anymore, and there's no question of them even socially anymore. So now we're experiencing, or you guys are experiencing, this sextile to the north node, which is, okay, now I can put my energy towards something that's more challenging because I feel empowered by what I know I have. It's like all those talents that you don't even have to think about are now you're finding practical application for all of those things that you're not too sure of, or you thought you were never capable of. So this is really a powerful and lovely time for you. And since the nodes don't move that fast, it'll be that way for a while. So you'll have the next couple of months, because the nodes will transit into the next signs, I think by May. But you'll have until then where these nodes are going to be sextile to your north node and sextile to the north node. Your natal sun will be sextile to the current north node and trine to the current south node. So this is definitely that sense, that toggle point inside of you where you are transitioning and getting used to being or finding opportunities in those things that used to be very uncomfortable for you. And there's not so much discomfort now as there is excitement and opportunity. So this is really beautiful stuff. You guys are also, your natal sun is also going to be, by Thursday, this is important, Thursday, this will affect everybody. Thursday, Venus transits from Aries, where she is in detriment, into Taurus, where she is at home. And Taurus is in a natural sextile to Cancerians. In fact, the moon is exalted in Taurus, and it's at its most comfortable and most powerful, really, in Taurus. And so when Venus goes into Taurus, there's a natural harmony with it. And when Venus drops into Taurus, that is next Thursday, I believe that is the 16th of March. And that is going to impact you the greatest, Cancer 2s, because that is right where your natal sun is. It forms a sextile too. So your natal sun is going to be sextile to Venus as she drops into her home domicile of Taurus. Talk about beauty, talk about luxury, talk about opportunities with money and attractiveness and being considered beautiful and really just enjoying life. La vie en rose. Like that is Venus in Taurus, and a sextile to Venus in Taurus means you have a lot of opportunity that is going to be coming from that placement, opening up. So financial opportunities, opportunities in love and romance, and opportunities in just increasing your value. So that is a huge blessing from the universe, and say thank you, because it's just something to look forward to. It happens at the very end of this week, but it'll be lasting through next week. So you really have a week and a half of just sort of joy and opportunity ahead of you. With the sextile, you could want to overindulge too much. Just try to keep away from spending too much. That's all. It's like your budget may be bigger than your banking account at this point, but that's the only thing you're really gonna have to worry about. There's just a lot of just happiness and optimism that can come out of that week and a half, starting Thursday for Cancer 1s. And the fact that Venus is going to be sextile your North Node, it means that you might actually find much more value, or people that never found value in you before are finding you much more valuable and opening up opportunities to you that they didn't think you were capable of before. But now they're starting to see your new capabilities, or you're starting to see capabilities and value in places that you never saw it before. And it's like the wool is pulled over your eyes, and you have this whole other venue or series of opportunities or people that you're attracted to that you weren't attracted to before. So it's really some beautiful stuff. Now for Cancer 2s, you guys are actually still at a square to Jupiter and Chiron, but that's been for a while, right? Like you've been dealing with that for a while. It's like, what does it feel like? A struggle. It feels like a challenge. It feels like, why is all of this so difficult? And why am I really struggling so hard for opportunity and growth? Because if you learn from Chiron when Jupiter is conjunct to it, this is saying it's hard-won fortune. It's hard-won abundance. But that's what you are in the middle of. And like I said, for you guys, I've been telling you guys, this is going to be for the next couple of weeks. This is going to be through April. And so by April, you guys will experience a really big turnaround, really, in that the struggles will now turn into opportunities. In fact, this week may be the week that you start to first see that opportunity start to come from all the hard work that you've been doing, or all the challenges that you've been facing, because Jupiter and Chiron are in absolute perfect conjunction during this week. And then this week, Jupiter will actually go beyond Chiron. So it'll be at a higher degree. So it'll become the more prominent one. It'll become the more purposeful one. It'll become the one that is having more influence. So what does that mean? That means that the luck is turning, the luck is changing, and the hardship at the very least this week is going to start to make sense, and you're going to start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe just a little sliver, but believe me, keep going, because it's going to get bigger and bigger until you're just in this basking sunshine of Caribbean light. I promise you. I absolutely promise you. Now for Cancer 3s, there's a lot going on. Now, you guys have known for a while that your natal suns are in direct opposition to Pluto, and that means that there has been dynamic changes that have been going on. And once a month, you get a visitor, and you're about to get your visitor on Thursday of next week. The moon is going to conjunct Pluto again. And why is that important to you? Because when the moon conjuncts Pluto, this is a very emotional time for you. This is a time when maybe like your emotions change or your emotions shift because something dynamic or extreme happens, or you take things to a dynamic extreme. So be very, very cautious of Thursday of next week, because that is when the moon is going to be conjunct Pluto, and that is in direct opposition to your natal suns. When the moon is conjunct Pluto, the moon conjunct Pluto is sextile to, wait for it, the Neptune, Mercury, Sun conjunction that's happening in Pisces. So this is a huge energy. That conjunction is actually trine to you guys. So that's actually a really beautiful time. I wrote this down. Something very emotional brings about understanding and compassion. This could lead to or inspire a beautiful new vision, idea, or creation that helps to get rid of and completely end old things. Or because of an ending, an extreme ending, the new life that comes from it is just absolute inspiration, divine inspiration, creation. And it's just beautiful things coming out of a very poignant moment. This would be next Thursday for you guys. Now I'm trying to think if I've skipped anything, because a lot's going on in Pisces. But we already talked about the trine to the south node between Cancer ones and the south node. Now, Pisces, oh, how could I forget this? Cancer ones, and I wrote this down too. Cancer ones, your natal sun is going to be trine Saturn for the next year. That's huge, because Saturn is now at 0 degrees Pisces. For those of you especially who are born in the very beginning, I would say between the 21st and the 24th of June, for those of you who are born at the very beginning of Cancer season, this is going to be a very powerful time for you, where you are just like with authority figures. You are just like, just tight with them. Yes, because Saturn, it rules authority, it rules law, it rules it rules rules, it rules structure. And now that it's in Pisces, it is directly trine to those first degrees of Cancer, and you guys are going to really sop up the just harmony. It's like easily your bosses like you, people in authority, or you're getting along with rules and laws and regulations the way that you never did before. And you know, it's, even if you're a natural rebel, there's this sense of, you know, just kind of happiness and go with the flow, and it's almost like easy. It almost becomes whatever all that paperwork was getting you down, all that craziness, you know, you couldn't keep up with it, or there was one rule after the other. For the next year, you guys are going to be experiencing tremendous amounts of harmony with this energy. And when it goes into retrograde, I'm not sure when it does, I'll speak on that next week. It'll still be harmonious, but it'll be like backlogged. Like, what did Saturn miss? Right? So you can expect a great deal of prosperity when it comes to what you're building of yourself. And it's almost like a fluency with maturity, a sense of, I feel better with the person that I'm building myself to be. I feel better with who I am becoming, and with forming structures in my life and making commitments to things. This is actually a very productive time for you, a very productive season that's coming up over this next year, because Saturn is in the first decant of Pisces, which is trine to the first decant of Cancer, until the end of February next year, at which time it'll then start visiting our second decant Cancerians. So it's like, listen, Saturn is wonderful to be trine to and sextile to. There's no more productive energy than a trine, or especially a sextile, but trines will work just fine to Saturn. This is when you and all that authority and all those expectations and maturity are really getting along. So this is a really nice time that you're entering. For Cancer 2s, you are sextile. Your natal sun is sextile to Uranus, which is sitting right there in the middle of Taurus. But it has been for a while, and it will be for the next year. So, and then toward the last 2 years, it will be sextile to Cancer 3s. So what does that mean? It means change. It means productivity and change. It means be productive and go along with the change. And even all these surprises is like if a surprise opportunity comes to you, even if you didn't expect it, go with it. It also means sort of brilliant outside of the box thinking and being sort of very curious about things that are unexplained, but in a very logical and maybe even mathematical way. It's just expecting the unexpected or being able to make the most out of the unexpected. And so you can expect this kind of help in your life for the next year. I mean, do definitely go with the punches, man, because that's exactly what, like, don't try to expect anything and expect the unexpected. Happy surprises will come to you throughout this next year. So that's actually good stuff. And then by the end of this week, by the end of not this week, next week, so the end of March, Venus is going to be conjunct to Uranus for Cancer 2s, but we'll get to that next week. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please remember to give it a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed. And if you haven't checked out Born Without Boundaries Tarot, go and check that out because your tarot reading is up to date too. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the videos.